This is True Crime Arizona, Lori Vallow's Deadly Delusions, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Welcome back to True Crime Arizona, Lori Vallow's Deadly Delusions. I'm Morgan Loew, and we have breaking news in this case. We have a verdict, and that verdict is guilty on all charges. I want to take you inside the courtroom now so you can hear Judge Stephen Boyce read the verdict.
So at this time, I'll direct the clerk to please read the verdict into the record. The defendant would please rise.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho, in and for the County of Fremont, State of Idaho Plaintiff versus Lori Vallow, aka Lori Daybell, defendant, case number CR 22211624. Verdict. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled action for our verdict, unanimously answer the questions submitted to us as follows. Question number 1. In regards to count 1 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee Bryan and grand theft by deception? Answer, guilty. Question number 2. In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Bryan? Answer, guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Answer, guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Answer, guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Answer, guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 7 of the amended indictment, is Lori Vallow not guilty or guilty of grand theft? Answer, guilty. Dated this 12th day of May, 2023, signed by the presiding officer.
So there you heard it, guilty on all charges. I was watching a live stream from inside the courtroom of the verdict being read. This is the first time we've had video from in the courtroom. The judge had ruled that once the trial was over, the reading of the verdict would have a video feed. So I specifically was watching Lori Vallow's face to see if she had any kind of reaction, any sort of emotion. During the reading of the verdict, there was nothing. She sat there looking sort of ahead and to the left, didn't even look like she flinched. I saw no reaction, nothing. Once the verdict was read on all the charges, she sat down. Let's go over the charges here. So she was found guilty of the first-degree murders of Tylee and JJ. So this means that the jury found that Lori directed, instigated, or orchestrated those murders. She was found guilty of conspiracy to commit the first-degree murders of Tylee and JJ. For this charge, jurors would only need to find that Lori aided and abetted in the plot to kill the kids. No direct action, that she aided and abetted. And there's been no evidence that Lori was there or actually murdered any of these people. But because of the emails, because of the case that the prosecution put forward, jurors found that she directed or orchestrated the murders and that she aided and abetted in the plot. So those are 4 charges right there: first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. She was found guilty of conspiracy to commit the first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife. So that means that she was involved in or aided and abetted in the plot to kill Tammy. And she was found guilty of grand theft. And that means that the jurors believe that she stole Tylee and JJ's Social Security benefits. And that was a main point in the plot from the prosecutors in their argument that the reason she did this, the reason she masterminded these murders, was for money and for Chad, to get money and to live with Chad. This trial lasted 6 weeks. Prosecutors introduced testimony from 60 witnesses. They included investigators, Lori Vallow's own closest friends, and Lori Vallow's sister. All of them testified for the prosecution against Lori, and they described how they believe that Lori manipulated them to get what she wants. The defense rested without introducing a single witness. First off, they asked for a directed verdict after the prosecution rested, which basically is saying, Judge, we think you should just throw this case out because the prosecution did not meet the burden to make their case. And the judge denied that motion. And then the defense rested, did not bring a single witness. That was a surprise, to say the least. So really the first time we heard any kind of defense was during the closing arguments. I want to play some of the defense's closing arguments here so you can hear how they attempted at least to come up with an alternative story to what the prosecution spent weeks establishing. Here is defense attorney Jim Archibald.
Was it proven who killed Tylee? No, but Alex and Chad were at her grave site in Chad's backyard. Alex's fingerprints were on the tools. Chad had said, Tylee doesn't like me. He had told that to people. So I'm guessing Chad and Alex on Tylee. Did they prove that Lori directed it or conspired? Of the 15,000 texts that you have in evidence, show me one where it says, from Lori, so when are you killing Tylee? Was it proven who killed JJ? No, but Alex and Chad were at his gravesite in Chad's backyard. Chad got in a scratch fight. Remember that testimony? Chad got in a scratch fight with JJ the night before. Maybe that could explain the scratches on JJ's neck. So witnesses described this scratch fight. And how about JJ's burial site? That Alex was only out there, what was it, 17 minutes? Is that what the FBI guy said? That Alex was out there 17 minutes on that day. So certainly not enough time to dig a meticulous grave and bury a child, find a board from the garage, find rocks that lined up perfectly. Certainly not enough time for Alex to do that on his own. So I'm guessing he had help from Chad. And of the 15,000 texts that you have in evidence, show me one where Lori's part of that conspiracy. When are you killing JJ, by the way? There is no such text.
In a nutshell, the defense argued that Chad Daybell was the mastermind behind all of this, and that Chad Daybell used his fringe religious beliefs to manipulate Lori. And they also argued that there was no convincing evidence that Lori actually took part in any of the murders. That is a story the jury did not buy. Here is some of what the prosecutors said in their closing arguments. The voice you're going to hear here is Rob Wood.
Beginning in October of 2018, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell set in motion a series of events that led to 3 horrific murders in the state of Idaho. Along their way, they quickly recruited and groomed her brother Alex Cox to participate in their multiple conspiracies. Each of these conspiracies is part of a larger plan for Chad and Lori to be together, unencumbered and free of obstacles. This plan was driven by Lori Vallow's desire for and use of money, power, and sex. And this plan that she set in motion must end today in the verdicts you render in this trial.
So prosecutors closed out their case by arguing that Lori Vallow used sex to manipulate Chad and that she and Chad groomed her brother Alex Cox and convinced him to murder the kids. That is the story that the jury believed. That is the story that the jury agreed with. The jury deliberated for just 7 hours after 6 weeks of testimony, after 60 witnesses, 7 hours of deliberation. This is not the end of the case. Lori still faces sentencing. The judge today said that could be in 3 months. Some things will happen behind the scenes before sentencing, a pre-sentence report, sort of psychological evaluation of Lori Vallow, what these investigators find out that may not have been revealed in court, and there will likely be victim impact statements before the sentencing. Now, her sentence could be life in prison. We know that the death penalty was taken off the table before the trial started, so she could get life in prison. But we also have learned that she is going to be extradited back to Maricopa County to face charges in the murder of Charles Vallow. We got that confirmed this morning. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office is going to extradite her. Sometimes in cases where defendants face charges in multiple jurisdictions, once a big case goes through and the defendant is convicted, another jurisdiction might just set the case aside or drop the charges, just knowing that the person is going to go to prison, forever. Why do they do that? Financially, it saves money. Sometimes it saves other victims the hassle and the heartache of testifying. In this case, we now believe that she is going to come here to Maricopa County to face those charges. That's the latest, but we will have more for you as this case develops. And one thing we know for sure is that this case will develop further. So for now, goodbye.
This is True Crime Arizona, Lori Vallow's Deadly Delusions, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.